the best movie ever, rivaled possibly only by Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, is an animated movie.
In fact, it's the first ever animated film that was released direct to video.
Is it Return of Jafar?
Little Mermaid 2?
Lion King 1.5?
No, it's Tiny Toons, How I Spent My Vacation.
How Star Wars is it?
Welcome, everybody,
Hello.
one and all, children of all
Welcome.
ages.
Yes, young children, old children, very old children, from ages 9 to 99. If you're below 9, get the fuck out. This is not an appropriate show for you. I'm
No,
so sorry.
second graders.
You're too little.
This is the show called How Star Wars Is It? We rate and review things. Maybe, maybe a
yes.
movie, maybe
Yeah.
a TV show
TV show.
here and there.
Maybe a
book?
direct-to-video movie.
Oh,
A book?
Maybe
I don't think we've
direct-to-video
done a book. We've done books. Anyway, but we don't rate them on how good or bad they are. We rate them on how Star Wars they are.
Yes. So if you're thinking of a movie, say a Star Wars movie, it's highly likely that that movie is going to score higher on how Star
Sure.
Wars it is than, say, swimming.
Right. A recent episode we did, because we're in a summer spirit, and for me and Mike here on How Star Wars Is It, there's not much that's more summer feeling than this movie that we're covering today.
And we've talked about it on this show before, saying we had to inevitably some point do an episode because both of us watched it a billion times as kids with our family, with our siblings. And so with that said, who better to have on today's episode than my sibling, sister, returning guest to the show from the famous, highly popular Veggie Tales episode, Allie Gospel.
Hello!
Allie, did you know that the VeggieTales episode is consistently in our top 5 most listened episodes?
Mike sends me
Updates.
ratings, updates.
Like, uh-oh, the rise of
weekly.
Skywalker just overtook you.
And I'm always like, cool.
I do not care.
Welcome back, Allie. We're glad to have
Thank
you.
you for having me.
So, Allie, real quick, I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but Mike and I have talked about it, and I was just telling my parents about it. But the weird similarities that Mike and I have in our lives and our upbringing, and one of them being that I also have a sister that's about a year and a half younger than me, 2 years-ish younger than me, and who also played percussion in band in high school. And I would say you're both similar in just a lot of different ways, kind of. And also,
That's so
and wait for it, she was the one who, when we went to the video stop, which was where we got our rented videos,
Sure.
we saw Tiny Toons, How I Spent My Vacation, and we were like, let's rent this. And then we watched it, and we became obsessed with it. So me and my sister watched Tiny Toons, this movie every summer for forever. And then 5 years ago for Christmas, I found it on DVD and gave it to her for Christmas. I was like, now you'll always have it.
That's so great. Oh, what a movie.
And yeah, so
Also, so strange that she played percussion as well.
yeah, you guys have a lot of similarities. It's very
She
strange.
also got a
Mike and
haircut
I,
today.
yes,
right
yes.
before
Her name is also Allie Gospel. Whoa!
That's right. We
anyway,
one
this is a
time
great
talked
movie.
about how we thought maybe, in The Sims or other games like that where you create a world, there's only so many faces you can make or personalities you can make,
Yeah.
and that God was like, yeah, Texas is far enough away from Indiana that these people will never meet, but we'll just
Yeah.
copy paste those guys.
Yeah, they'll have the same upbringing essentially, or at least this brother-sister relationship will be exactly the
Right.
same. And then they'll never figure it out, and then we did, and now it's like when you see the cat 2 times in the Matrix.
Right. A movie that you watched for the first time for this podcast.
It's true.
But so
I hadn't-
right before we started recording, Allie just brought up something about the title of this movie, I feel like, is a great place to start, which is also sort of a Star Wars-y thing. I was informed tonight, as were you, Allie, that it is called How I Spent My Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not what I was led to believe forever, and I watched it today.
Yeah. I watched it today as well. So I took a lot of notes today, and I think this might be a Mandela effect thing we've got going on, because I also remembered it being how I spent my summer vacation, but I also remember, I think when I was like looking back on it in high school, being like, oh, it's just vacation? That's weird. So it is Tiny Toons, How I Spent My Vacation, not my summer vacation.
Are we sure it's not a different movie in the same way that there's all like the Griswolds vacation and their Christmas vacation?
Tiny Toons, How I Spent My National Lampoon's Vacation.
That's a National Lampoon.
Well, and for listeners out there, if you haven't watched this movie or if you don't know what we're talking about.
That's right. People are listening to this.
It came out in 1992, which is also when I came out. Not out of the closet, but out of my mother's vagina. That's when I was born. So me and this movie are the same age.
Both came out of your respective mother's vaginas.
Yes. And Tiny Toons How I Spent My Vacation is basically Steven Spielberg's baby. So this movie came out of Steven Spielberg's vagina.
And go ahead and cut all this and we'll start the episode over.
All right. And rewind 2 minutes and start fresh. But so it was based on, or it's like the same, apparently this closed out like the short running series of Tiny Toons. Like this was sort of the end of it. But Tiny Toons was, hey, here's my dog, Allie. Look at her. Do you see her? She's very cute.
Oh, hi.
But Tiny Toons was like kid version of Looney Tunes, but it was also like kind of 90s and like late 80s, like 90s feel. So it was kind of like a little more attitude, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I thought that like multiple times while watching this was like, oh, you can't do this type of humor on kids shows anymore. Not necessarily because it was like crass, although there were a couple things that I was like, oh, they wouldn't even like skirt around having like a cigarette joke in today's cartoons. But like also just because it was like so like for adults or like teens, you know, like I remember as a kid watching the scene where they're in like the record or like the TV studio and like Oprah and Letterman and like all those guys are there. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, I am sure those are probably people I'm supposed to know, but I'm 6.
I wrote that down several times. I like literally took so many notes, but several times I wrote down, I didn't get this when I was a child. I still don't really get this because I don't know the reference. Because a lot of the references are
like of their
Maury
time.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a moment today. I was rewatching it, and there's a line where he's like, "In this moonlight, you look just like Maury Amsterdam," and she gets really mad about it. And I was like, "Should I look up who that is?" And then I didn't do it.
I did because I was like, should I get that? And I looked it up and I was like, no, there's no way I would have got that. He was like on the Dick Van Dyke Show. Like he was one of the friends, like Dick Van Dyke's friends. And he's like a long time, like successful comedic actor. But I was like, Maury.
It's just like it's like a random pull.
This whole movie is so, first off, I love this movie. It's so fucking funny.
Oh my God.
I think this movie is so funny. And
can we do like a brief, for those who have not seen brief summary of the few storylines, because there's quite a few storylines going on.
Right. So to what Josiah said, it's Tiny Toons, which was a show sort of based on Looney Tunes, but it was a Steven Spielberg creation. It was sort of in the same like block and like animation family as the Animaniacs. And I didn't realize this was like the end of Tiny Toons because we watched Tiny Toons growing up like on Nick, but it must have all been in syndication because this was 1992. But so Babs and Buster Bunny, the kind of two main characters who sing the intro song.
First off, they all go to Acme University.
Oh yeah, Acme Looniversity.
Which is where Looney Tunes apparently go to learn how to become Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny is a professor, which is strange. Seems very against his character. Elmer Fudd is the dean or something.
Yeah, the headmaster.
So anyway, it's time for summer vacation. Mike, continue.
Yeah, no, you're right. They're all in school, and they are all just anxiously waiting
for
for
the
the clock
to
to strike
Strike
3.
3.
That was a song that our mom would play on piano all the time, unrelated
Yes!
to Tiny Toons, of course.
Wait, your guy's mom plays piano too? My mom has, she taught piano and is also plays piano. So that's another weird similarity.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
So of course, whenever we would watch this video more often than not in our like mom's minivan with a VHS play, like with a VCR in it. And it just like stayed in the car. Like Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and How I Spent My Vacation were just in the seat back of our minivan.
That's such a specific feel.
So
like
our mom
like,
would like it because she would hear that song at the beginning.
And so Buster and Babs get into. So there's like 4 different stories, kind of 4 or 5. Buster and Babs are the bunnies. They're sort of like Bugs Bunny split into 2 different bunnies.
Yeah.
It's like, what if Bugs Bunny was 2 bunnies,
Yeah,
and like,
right.
and like
Buster
one of
is
them
like
had
the
a crush on the other one.
and Babs is the like character
Performer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And they have a big water fight that takes them on like a Huck Finn style river trip down south,
Right.
essentially. And they spend a lot of time in the deep south with weird animal caricatures, and everyone tries to eat them. And then we've got Plucky and Hammy, which Hammy's family, he's like the Porky Pig.
Yeah.
And Plucky is the Daffy Duck.
Right.
And they are. Hammy's family is going to Happy World Land, which is the Disney World analog that they like to make fun of.
Right.
And Plucky tags along, and it's a terrible vacation spent mostly in the car. So that's the second one.
And
Allie,
Hampton and all of his family are enjoying themselves the whole time, and everything is the worst nightmare to Plucky. It's a
It's terrible.
Yes.
great comedy formula.
It's so good.
Quite possibly my favorite story is Elmira.
Yeah.
She's trying to get a kitty. So she's
And
She's little.
she's like a little girl version of Elmer Fudd, but without the speech impediment.
yes. And she is a lot, and so she loses her pet cat. So she goes on a safari zoo adventure, which is like you're driving your car through a jungle.
Yeah.
And she gets out of the car and then goes and like petrifies all like the jungle big cats.
Yeah.
Because she wants one of them to be her pet cat, and she ends up her cat ends up being a very famous movie star who is a skunk.
Yes,
And we'll get to that in a moment.
which brings us to the other sort of storyline, which is kind of
Yeah,
combined.
it's like the
where it's
catch-all
like-
of all the other Tiny Toons characters.
Yes.
Each get like a one trick
bit.
pony kind of bit. Like Cheryl, who's like,
like-
a duck who is psychic. Shirley,
Shirley,
And,
yeah.
Shirley Loon.
Foul
She's
mouth.
a loon.
who is like a little chicken.
Foulmouth. And then you get a little bit of Dizzy,
Yeah.
who's the Taz.
Dizzy wants to spin,
And-
but in the summer he sheds, and then so he's naked, and he puts on a cardboard box to cover himself up, and then that becomes the new trend. And like a couple of like
How
hipster
very.
characters all put on boxes and roller skate around. That also, I mean, I did not stop laughing at this movie.
It's so funny.
But then
So
yeah,
then there's what's the girl skunk's name? I can't remember her name.
I can't remember either. But the
I
Pepe
saw
Le
it to-
Pew girl,
Yes.
is just like Pepe Le Pew, that she's like love struck the whole time, and she's trying to get an autograph from this hot skunk, like
A skunk
James
hunk.
Dean style movie star named Johnny Pugh.
Yes, and then
Did
that,
we leave anything out?
I think that's everything.
It's like describing Rat Race, or like
It really
describing a
is.
dream.
Yeah, because none of
Oh,
it.
and then they end up at like World War II memorial, but they're dressed as Hitler in Hitler's car.
For a second, I was like, "What part of this movie did I forget?" Fifi is the girl skunk's name. Fifi Le Flume. So anyway, that's the plot. It's not really a plot. It is more just like setups for sketches, because
Right.
there's not
Right.
there's through line, but it doesn't really matter because they're just setups for a bunch of jokes.
It's also set up for just a lot of just like physical comedy.
Oh yeah.
Like the jokes aren't even necessarily written. They're like all things that are visuals.
There is
Right.
so to go back to some of those visuals, there's a lot of references, like Mike was talking about earlier.
Oh my God, the fourth wall breaking alone is
constantly.
like you could call that like one facet of this movie. Like one of the things they do is they go on vacation. Another one of the things they do is break the fourth wall.
Well, and like there's constant references. Some of them are like actual people, like when they do the Hollywood, like the skunk hunk, like you have the talk show hosts, and like there's
Woody Allen is in there quickly at one point.
Pee Wee Herman is in the movie theater.
Yeah, right.
There's like, and the thing is, like, I'm sure that everyone else in that line of people in the movie theater was a famous person, but I was like, that's Pee Wee Herman. I don't know who the other ones are.
One of my favorite references, and this is because I love the movie Superman, is they do a direct quote of Superman of, "You've got me, who's got you?" But it's just the two bunnies, and then Superman shows up and is like, "I do, kids," and then they get mad at him, so he drops them. And
hey, this is our video.
And then that leads into a second joke that is the same joke. She falls underwater, runs into Ariel, and is like, "Wrong cartoon."
Yeah, that's
like, how
so
did you do that?
I had the same thought while I was watching that. Was like, oh, weird. They sort of made Superman kind of look like a dick because they were like, hey, scram. And he's like, okay, fine. And then, so they made like a meta cartoon reference, and then like they didn't wait a second before they made another.
Well, what's wild too is that they could use Superman because it was Warner Brothers,
so
it was fine. But then you get down and it's off-brand Ariel, and it's hold on, wait, I gotta find
beneath the ocean.
Yeah, we make a big
ocean.
we make a big commotion beneath the ocean. Wait, real quick, guys. Another Mandela effect thing. Can you guys sing the "We're Tiny, We're Toony"? Sing that first part for me, Mike. You first.
From the movie or from the theme song of the show? They're different.
What?
Yeah, the show theme. So the movie, if what you said that it was sort of what closed out the show, if that is in fact correct, I'm sure it was just like, okay, we're making this video to like finish the series, and they like made a version of the theme.
Well, then
song.
sing me the one from the TV show.
We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony.
Okay, stop.
Cartoony,
Allie, is that correct?
Invading your TV.
Allie, was that right?
Yeah, that's
Okay, and because the one in the movie is different, and that was freaking me out because I was like, did I remember this wrong this whole time?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. Well, then never mind. It's not a Mandela effect.
And this afternoony,
Nelson Mandela.
summertime is here.
Yeah.
Well, no, because the tune. Hold on, wait. We might be talking about something different because in the movie they go, "We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony."
That is like the second time through when it's about to end.
I don't know. I have to go back, guys. We're gonna have to go look at the tapes.
Cause yeah.
Oh hell yeah! This meeting just got upgraded.
Now the video's begun.
Yeah, I just love how they say so often the video, because of course this wasn't future-proofed to know that there would be streaming video on Hulu, 20 years in the future. And so they were like, okay, we're releasing a video, like a videotape.
And it wasn't a movie because it was direct to video.
Right.
Also, so other references that this movie does. Deliverance, which is
right.
It's like a whole subplot.
Yeah, there's a whole Deliverance subplot, which is not a timely reference in 1992.
That's a movie I still haven't seen, but I eventually saw a clip showing it
Family
at
Guy.
the Oscars or something, and I was like, yeah, right, exactly, like another cartoon reference, and I was like, oh my god, that's like that possum guy. Oh, that's what that was.
There's Friday the 13th, which also is not super timely in 1992. There's an E.T. reference. All these references are not timely. It's just like the writers are like, what do we think is funny, And like there was what I wrote it down. Whenever Babs does like 4 characters in the span of like 5 minutes, and it's Shirley Temple, Lucille Ball, Tina Turner, and then like Jessica Rabbit, I think.
Right, like a sexy babe. Like
all of those are like from like Jessica Rabbit might be kind of concurrent, but the rest of those I'm like, that's from decades earlier. Like, no kid is watching that like, aha. So yeah.
Well, they have that joke with Jay Leno, and they're like, Jay Leno checks into a hotel, and they're like, do you want to check your chin? And it's like, what is this joke?
And who's it for?
You know what? That you mentioned Family Guy. That's actually sort of making me realize this cartoon. If our show was called How Family Guy Is It, which thank God it's not.
Dude, I had that thought where I was like, the way this is animated and plotted, and the way the jokes work in this movie is so similar to the like how Family Guy and those kind of shows do things, because there's such a loose plot and it's all a structure for jokes. Because I had that thought, like when Superman comes and saves them and then leaves, I was like, that's a joke in Family Guy where Spider-Man saves them.
Yeah,
like everyone just
gets one.
Like, I'm like, Seth MacFarlane must have watched this movie and been like, I will dissect it and find what makes it work. Oh my God.
Watching it today or yesterday or whenever you guys watched it, what was something that there were things that I saw that I was like, oh right, that's so funny, and like it made me feel nostalgic. But then there were things that I saw that were like, that's a funny joke today to me, a comedian who is almost 30. What were those moments for you guys? Because I imagine you had them.
I have several favorite jokes in this movie. One that still makes me laugh that I still think of is when they're doing a sort of another Southern, like they're doing like sort of a Big Daddy, like Cat in a Hot Tin Roof kind of spoof thing with these alligators. And the Big Daddy alligator has 3 daughters, and he tells Buster Bunny he's going to marry all of them.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, I can't marry all 3 of them. That's bigamy. And the dad goes, no, that's bigamy.
Great joke.
It's so
I
good.
remember hearing that as a kid. I think there's even like a rim shot in it.
Yes, there is.
I remember
it ends with a rim shot.
Okay, I know that was a joke, and someday I'll learn what bigamy means, and I'll be 20 and be like, that was a joke!
The joke that got me so bad today, and it was a visual cue again, was at the very beginning, right, when the water gun fight starts between Buster and Babs. Babs is sunbathing, and she had pulled down like a sheet, almost like a green screen
out of nowhere.
A screen, yeah. So that she's on a beach.
Marvelous,
the French
Riviera.
And when Buster shows up, he pulls down a second screen, and it's the Arctic. And he
goes into it.
He runs into the snow, but once he gets there, he goes to a freezer. He gets the ice cubes out of like a freezer and fridge. Yeah. So he doesn't take the ice at all. Like, he could have gone to freezer anywhere, and he fills up the water gun with the ice cubes.
Yep.
And then leaves the Arctic and then pulls the beach back.
Yeah. That one tickled me as well, because I'm not sure I like really understood the kind of extra joke there when I was younger. The one that like, oh man, Plucky is top funny to me in this movie. Oh my God. Just like it's the sort of meet the parents formula where like everything goes wrong for him. But when they are shooting video of their odometer about to hit 100,000 miles and Plucky's trying to get their attention and stop them in the road, and they run him over, and he's like flattened, and then they realize they had the lens cap on, so they have to go in reverse so they can get the shot again, which of course is not how mileage counters work, odometers.
As we learned from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, and so they put the car in reverse, run him over a second time, completely flatten him, and then do the whole thing again, run him over a third time and completely flatten him. It is not like, it is very funny. It is not like oh my God, again. It is so funny. And then he says, like, in his like daze, and he's like a flat piece of paper, he goes, I think their left front tire is a little low. Oh man, I was watching this in the morning when I got up, and I was riding the stationary bike in our room, and Caitlin was still like asleep or mostly sleeping, and I just like laughed out loud at that.
It's so good. There's a lot of visual gags that really work for me.
He has a bunch that are like that too, where like some shitty thing happens to him, and then he says some kind of cute thing. The other one that I thought of was his when they finally get back home and he kisses the grass like, mwah, 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 we're home, and then they say like, Plucky, we just fertilized our lawn, and then his tongue like grows foliage and grass, and he has to mow it with a lawnmower, and then he goes, really, a third tongue joke? His tongue like falls apart two other times in the movie.
That's something I want to get into. There's like some gross stuff in this movie, and a lot of it involves Plucky, and like there were some visuals where I was like, that's disturbing, that's gross, and I was like, like there's some body horror with Plucky's tongue, especially. There's a lot of tongue jokes. I love when
he's so thirsty that when he opens his mouth, a whole desert comes out, but there's also like 3 pillows. Like, it's really dry, guys. It's like a desert mixed with pillows.
So to come back to the topic of the show real quick, we talk a little bit about how Star Wars it is. One of the main things I thought of was this show has bops, and the reason it has such good music is because it's all classical music.
Yeah.
Because it's in the vein of your old Looney Tunes
Right.
where everything is classical
Merry
music.
melodies.
And so everything that goes so perfectly with the animation is all like, public domain stuff that they could re-orchestrate and make work, and everything works really well. The music, like Ali said, so many of the jokes are so visual. I think sometimes it could be just music, and I would still be laughing a lot without people saying things because it works so well.
Doing, doing, da, doing, da, doing, 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 doing. That plays a lot.
I know we're talking Star Wars, but while we're talking bops, one of my favorite jokes is that the dad, Hammy's dad, on that road trip, the only song he knows is "Pop Goes the Weasel." He doesn't sing the whole song. It's hummed up until that point, and then finally Plucky's just like, "Don't you know anything else like Old MacDonald?" And he just goes, "Pop goes the weasel."
Did you guys notice that later when they turn on the radio and they hear the thing about the killer?
Yes.
When it's like K Fudd Radio, and it's Elmer Fudd, and then it's a smooth jazz version of "Pop Goes the Weasel."
Yes, I did notice that. Yeah, that's a funny sort of leitmotif, like to bring it to an actual scholarly music term, like an opera term. Star Wars does the same thing. There's only like 4 or 5 songs in Star Wars in any one given movie, and they play them over and over when that character or that like setting is happening. And like Pop Goes the Weasel and the Happy World Land song were like the themes playing for all of the Plucky and Hampton plot, and then that river banjo song, that doing 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 doing, was like always in the Babs and Buster plot. Like
also the dueling banjos. It's not the song dueling banjos, but the dueling banjos with the banjo and Buster's face.
Yeah.
While Babs is like,
never eat a guy what could play his face.
Like, that was something that I think me and my siblings did constantly, was the like we would always like do that.
We did too.
And we would sing so many of the little songs in this like the waiting for the clock to strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Like so much of it.
The one I always still find myself singing, like years after having watched it at least once a summer every year, is if I go to an Italian restaurant, some point I will just go, ravioli,
tasty
linguine,
I'm so glad.
Parma,
I'm so glad you guys know so many of the quotes, because this is going to really help for the game coming up.
Oh my.
So to try to talk about Star Wars for a second again.
Yeah, I have a couple too.
Or to compare it to Star Wars. This is way too sketch-based and not plot-based to get many points.
Yeah, it's almost like the like Family Guy or Robot Chicken Star Wars specials.
Yeah, it's more similar to that kind of stuff. Because there's not a plot, there's not like an overarching like goal. It's just fun, goofy shit.
One of my pros that I have was a note I wrote down within the first like 60 seconds of the thing. One of the executive producers named in the top credits was Kathleen Kennedy.
Whoa!
Who runs Lucasfilm now.
Hey.
Or as they
her.
make a reference to in this movie, yet another pro, Mucus Film. When they're at the movie theater and the THX parody happens and everybody is like, oh gosh, it's this surround sound thing or whatever. And it's like, and it says thud instead of THX. It says a company of Mucus Film Limited.
Wow.
Do you have any other pros or cons before we go to the pit real quick?
I do. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, my pro is the only one I thought of at the time was the relationship between Fifi and
Johnny Pew.
Johnny Pew. It's very much that like I love you, I know situation. He's very much like, I get it. I'm really cool. Now carry my stuff.
He's the irredeemable scoundrel.
We mentioned it already, but the sort of all the Hollywood references, that's not necessarily Star Wars, but like something about Spielberg and Lucas sort of feels like that, like they're always going to constantly reference each other. The other thing I have, and then I'll save my last note for after the break perhaps, they have a plot hole, a literal hole at one point that sort of saves the day, and the only problem that makes it not Star Wars is they acknowledge it in the film.
I think
Excuse
I've
me,
talked
the video.
about yes, the video. I think I've talked about that joke on this show before because it's like the funniest thing. It's so funny to me. I love it so much.
I wondered how those hack writers were going to wrap this whole thing up.
One thing I want to talk about before we go to the break, and I think it's interesting that we have Allie back on because we talked about this a little bit in VeggieTales episode because we talked about Esther.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Esther.
And her womanly proportions. There's a lot like this cartoon. This video. There's some horny stuff in this video.
Yes.
Those alligators.
Yeah. That was something that happened today that I was like, what? That at one point the eldest gator falls onto Buster,
like,
and he has to like emerge from her boobs.
Gazongas.
Yeah, because the alligators, there's 3 of them, and they're all different body types, and she's the big one, and so she's got big old bazongas, as Mike put it. And there's there's a lot of I think for me as like the first time I watched this, I was like, funny, and then I think like as we watched it, as I grew up, I was like, there's a lot of boobs in this, and they're mostly cartoon animal boobs, but there's still boobs, and this is kind of making me wonder about a lot of things. I'm like, did Tiny Toon, How I Spent Summer or How I Spent My Vacation, did they invent furries? Because I don't know, maybe.
I also there's a bit that when Plucky gets hit by the car all those times, he keeps trying to get the pigs to stop their car, the family.
Oh yeah.
And the way he finally gets them to stop after using signs, after using all kinds of like at one point he had one of those things that goes down to stop like for trains. Yeah. And eventually the way he does it is he like pulls up his like leg and makes it look like a sexy woman leg, and then the car stops.
Which raises
Which means
Hampton's
dad was horny for Plucky leg.
Well, he was horny for Hot Lady leg,
right?
And then it turned out to be Plucky, and they let him in anyway, which is strange. Also, I think that's a reference to, well, it's a reference in general, but there's also like a classic Looney Tunes bit where I think Bugs does that.
Yeah, I think lots of cartoons did that.
But yeah, it's like a sexy lady leg, and there's a lot.
Plucky, did you want to go on our trip with us too?
And then like for Johnny Pugh, there's like a sexy lady skunk who like shows
pink.
up Fifi. Oh yeah, and like there's no one sitting in the seat, and she comes by and she's like, "Can I get an autograph?" And then she leaves, and then there's someone sitting in the seat, and it's like, guys, come on, another plot hole.
Yeah, Looney Tunes is not great about women.
Tiny Toons at least has girl characters. But then, it's like still weirdly like horny.
Horny, yeah.
Yeah, just in general, that franchise is not super great about women representation.
To bring it back to Star Wars, am I right? Because weirdly horny sometimes, and just like not that many women characters, and not being great about the representation. Pretty Star Wars.
Because even the girls let's talk girls in this movie really
Let's
quick.
talk girls.
Let's talk girls.
Hang on, wait a second. Is this an episode of Let's Talk Girls?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about HBO's Girls.
So in this HBO's Girls, I've never seen it.
Never watched it.
When that was really hot and I was in college, I would try to find it, online for free. And so, you type into Google, watch girls online free. And then you throw your computer in a fire.
I got viruses. What were you going to say, Allie?
So there are not that very many girl characters in this movie. So Babs. Awesome. Very cool. The whole time she's asking Buster out. Or wants to be noticed by him. Is super interested in his affection. Second one, Fifi. Her whole story is, I'm going to go find this hot skunk hunk of my dreams. which is a
Shirley.
direct quote. Shirley, I love.
She's
Also
being
gets asked
doted
out.
upon, though. She's
Oh,
being,
yeah.
like, put into, like, yucky situations with this fucking asshole dude.
This terrible chicken.
I
Won't
do
you go to the dadgum movies with me, Shoyle?
Shoyle. And I'm trying to think. Elmira doesn't really count because she's
Right.
just.
Hey, I think if we're looking at like a strong female character in this movie, Elmira.
Elmira.
It's Elmira.
She's got
She's
agency.
She is defined by no one else but her own desire to have a kitty, where the rest of the female characters are in some way defined by their relationship with male characters.
Right.
Hers is just like, I'm gonna get a fucking cat, and I'm gonna become a god unto these jungle creatures.
That is actually funny that, you know, like, I remember being in, like, level 3 at IO and learning this, like, just, it's more of, like, a trick than anything else, but make your character want something just, like, specific and concrete, you know, like, your guy, you know, like, maybe his like, his aura, his sort of attitude is, like, he's a little nervous guy or whatever. You can pick, like, an emotion, but the thing he wants is something like jelly beans. And then, like, every, like, third or fourth sentence, you could be like, yeah, can you fit a lot of jelly beans in there? And, like, that is exactly what she does. She has one thing.
Yeah. I was trying to think if this movie passes the Bechdel test.
Oh, it does not. In no way. In no way does it pass.
Well, I was trying to think. I was like, does Elmira ever talk to anybody else?
Does Shirley ever talk to the, like trendy girl who adopts the box look?
I don't think so.
Here's the thing, though. In order to pass, they both have to have names.
Oh, well, there you
true.
go. Box girl.
I was gonna say because Elmira kind of talks to her mom and dad, but I don't think that counts because they're not really characters and you don't really see their faces. So
And the only other woman is Hammy's mom.
Yeah.
it's true.
Can we also acknowledge just real quick, because he hasn't been mentioned yet, Byron?
Byron!
The best, floppiest, wrinkliest dog.
I'm really excited to watch the like analytics of this episode in like the weeks after it's released to see if just 0 people have listened or if it is somehow this like universally beloved videotape that somehow everyone our age has seen, because clearly
Everyone
the 3 of
rented
us
it.
have.
Yeah. Well, we should probably go to the break real quick.
Yeah, I need to write this down because I thought of it as we were talking. I have another note, but okay, yes.
Let's go to the pit, and then we'll come back. And I actually, vacation's over, guys, and I have a little test for you when we get back.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So let's go to the pit.
Bye.
And
we're quiet.
Tiny, we're toony, we're okay.
For all a little.
Yours was
Looney.
better. I was also considering, and we're Happy World Land. Happy World Land.
I love all the Disney
where
digs
the
in
fun
this
never
movie.
stops at only
Only
$80
$80 a pop. A beautiful,
There's so many-
happy world land.
There's so many good Disney digs in
Yeah.
this movie because it's like Warner Brothers versus Disney, you know. And I just love how they're just like, yeah, you're in the parking lot. The entrance to the park is 2 miles away.
Happy World Land where the fun never stops.
Never stop.
We
Okay,
have 6
Mike,
thrill
stop.
rides
You're gonna
and
ru-
400
you're gonna-
gift shops.
You're gonna ruin the game if you keep singing.
Oh no.
Okay, so guys, I got the game this week. Summer vacation's over. We're back in school, and guess what? We got a pop quiz, baby.
Yay.
So
Oh.
if you could
Yay.
both, Allie's a nerd. confirmed.
I love school.
I love school.
Hey,
If you could both get a
tune in
piece
next
of,
week if you love school.
It's true. If you could both get a piece of paper and a pen, or something so that you can write an answer down and then show it to me so I can see it,
Yeah.
then that would be great. So get that real quick
This
while I
is no
explain.
joke. I last night guested on a friend's podcast from Indianapolis. There's a comedy theater there that's starting like a sort of network, like a Patreon of different shows. And the last thing I have in this pad of paper is a answer I had to write down for like a game show last night.
Okay, so the way this is going to work is I have compiled. We've done a lot of references so far to this movie and talked about certain things, but I'm going to talk about some of the background gags, some of the stuff that is written on signs or different things. That some of them are only there for a few frames.
Oh.
So
I'm excited.
and I will also be asking a few questions that are just fun jokes that I liked that I wanted you to see if you're gonna know them. But
Is this
there's
game called Remember This?
It's called Remember This. But there's 50. The main thing I'm excited about is there's 15 questions. You'll get 1 point per correct answer. I will give you the question. You will write down your answer, then show it to me, and then whoever gets the highest score at the end wins. Okay, so it's not a buzzing in.
I'm so excited.
It's like
It's not a
bar
buzzing in.
trivia.
Yeah.
Can I still buzz?
You can still buzz if you want, but
Okay.
it's not required. Okay, question 1. And it's also these
Yes.
questions are in chronological order for the movie.
Okay.
So question 1, what is the label on the shark tool that Hammy uses to pry Plucky off of his leg? Please write down your answer. And once you have it, let me put your pen up in the air. All right, show me. It is Jaws of Life. You both got it. So you are both have 1 point right now. All right.
I like that that's what worked, but not the jackhammer.
I
I also
right?
like that they animated it so that the jaws closed, but then when they pulled him off, they spit him out, like the
Spit you
lips
out.
opened.
Okay, this one might be kind of easy. What's the brand name on the water gun that Buster uses in the very beginning to squirt Babs? Put your pins up when you're done. It's great. Is that a Sharpie pin, Allie?
It's Bic Intensity.
Well, that's
And
also
this
pretty
episode
good.
has been sponsored by Bic Intensity.
Show me your answers. It is the Acme Super Squirt. You both got it wrong.
I'm
I
stupid.
just had Acme.
You were halfway there. I'm not gonna, but we don't do half points. I'm so sorry. All right, this one might be really hard because it happens so quickly.
Did
On
you
a
want
hot
a
dog-
second really quick to buzz?
Oh, Buzz.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Go ahead.
And you're still wrong. Okay. On a hot dog stand in town during the going to the movies section, there is a special quality of the hot dogs that's advertised underneath hot dog.
Oh, wow.
What is it? Pins up when you have the answer. This one really tickled me. I thought it was so funny.
I did not notice it, so I'm taking it
Yeah.
as
Show me your answers.
Long.
All meat. Mike, you're so close. It's boneless. It says hot dogs boneless.
That's funny.
So the score is still 1-1.
I said all meat.
All right, this you can actually get multiple points for. So for this question, if you can name, you get 1 point per answer. So name one of the paints that Hammy uses to repaint Plucky after Uncle Stinky strips the paint off of him with his nasty breath. There's 4 colors that are listed, and you'll get 1 point per color if you can remember them. Pins up when you're done.
Oh, no.
I almost paused it at this moment so
I
that I
did
could read them
too.
because I remember catching one and thinking it was funny.
This is good radio.
Totally is.
I'm going to leave this silence in. For the listeners, I'm letting them answer, but now I'm editing back, and I'm going to say that they are out of time.
Okay.
All right. Show me. All right, let's see. Allie has Disturbingly White, which is not one of them. Mike has
Lackluster white.
Jaundice Orange, Putrid Green, and Abyss Black. So Lackluster White and Jaundice Orange are both correct. So Mike has 3 points now. The others are Bilious Black and Gaggled Green. All right. It is 3-1, Allie. I'm so sorry you're losing.
It's okay. Bing.
Buzz.
What is... Oh,
Buzz.
Bing. Bing. Google. Yahoo, Ask Jeeves. What is the name of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles parody comic that Plucky tries to get Hammy to read?
Oh, gosh. I think I got it. Pen in the air. Bing.
Pen in the
Buzz.
air. Buzz. Bing.
1 second.
Shit. There's no half points or third points.
We'll see how I feel.
Bing.
All right, show me those answers. So Allie has Super Slugs. Mike has Adolescent.
Super adolescent slugs.
Oh, Super Adolescent Slugs. Adolescent Samurai Slugs. You are both so close. It is Immature Radioactive Samurai
Damn it.
Slugs.
I almost said immature, but I forgot radioactive anyway, so.
So you will both have still 3-1. All right. A sign in the zoo points in a direction with a label on it that is a reference to a Looney Tunes. What does it say?
Oh man, this might have been when I was cooking my breakfast and only sort of half watching.
I'll give you another clue. It's in reference to a cat. These are the deep cuts, folks. This one also, I'm pretty sure, was only on screen for like 3 frames.
Bing.
Mike has his in the air. He's binging.
Bing.
All right, what do we got? Sylvester Falls. Mike has that. Tasmania. That's pretty good. No, there's a sign that says in a certain direction. It's pointing. It says one bad putty tat.
Oh, that's
Funny.
cute.
Isn't that cute? Okay.
I truly was like, there's no cat in Looney Tunes. I'm so dumb.
Speaking of cats, finish this line. I love cats. I love kitties. Blank.
Yep, this I got. I still say this.
Me too, and my sister does too.
Bing.
Bing.
All right, squeeze them into itty bitties. You both got it. all of Elmira's little songs that she does are things that my sister and I still like to sing to this day.
So I texted Mike this the other day, and this was completely unrelated to the fact that I knew that this podcast was going to happen. I was watching Survivor with my boyfriend, and a leopard, like a spotted leopard, showed up on the screen because they are in the jungle. And I just went, this cheetah left me its pajamas. Ooh, looking good, baby.
Yes.
And my boyfriend's never seen this movie, and he just goes,
What?
Did that come from you whole cloth just now? I think the other thing that we say all the time that she does, and she's like, look, Mr. Pretty Gazelli, it's you. Kiss yourself, kiss yourself, kiss yourself.
I love when the gazelle tells the lion that story, and he's like, nah, 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 nah.
Yeah, it's the 3 lion cubs telling it, and they're like,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's so good. Okay.
I also love how Elmira goes like, do, 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 do.
The line of hers that, like, got me today was the very first time you see her. She has her cat that she loses. Yes. And she's trying to get him to swim, and she goes, kick and breathe, and kick and breathe.
And kick and breathe.
There's another great visual gag that I was like, holy shit, because the cat, she's holding him by the tail, and the cat pulls out scissors and is about to cut his own tail to free himself, and then, like, loses his nerve.
Yeah.
All right, back to the quiz.
Oh, so funny.
Back to the quiz. What's it say on the back of the mail truck that takes Plucky's letter?
Oh, that also might have been
a hint is that
he sends it to Shoyle.
And on the back of the mail truck has a bumper sticker. What does the bumper sticker say?
Bing.
Mike.
Bing.
All right, show him. Let's see. How's my driving for Allie? And Mike has I brake for Roadrunners. Mike, you're so close.
Damn it.
It's I brake for Coyotes.
Oh.
And then it immediately runs over.
Immediately runs. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Name name as many of the movies as you can being played at the theater that's on the marquee, and you'll get 1 point per movie.
Bing.
Bing.
Show me.
Wait, no, it's Skunk. Oh, I read Skunkmageddon. It's Skunknophobia.
Mike has Skunknophobia and Night of the Living Tomato. Skunknophobia is right. Allie has Skunkageddon, which is so close, but unfortunately it's wrong. So Mike is 5. Allie, you're falling behind.
Wow.
I know.
I thought you liked school.
I love school.
The other movies on the marquee are it's Skunknophobia, then Die Hardest, Super Babs, and then Bat Pig, which I think is so funny because Spider-Ham was in an actual movie in the year 2018.
Yeah.
All right, and Mike said this earlier. Let's see if you guys can remember it. With the audience is now deaf gag, what is the name of the company? And bonus points if you can tell me what it is a division of.
Oh.
Bing.
Bing.
Show him. It's Thud and Mucus Film. You both get both of the points.
Thud.
Thud.
The audience is now deaf.
My dad still does that sometimes. And I'm like, you don't play like this movie isn't funny. Okay, what is the name of the old-timey steamboat that Babs and Buster end up on?
Yeah. On the good ship. Yep.
Bing.
This is another... Go ahead.
I think this is right. Bing.
Yep. It's on the good ship Delta Burke. And do you guys know what Delta Burke is?
I know
No.
it's a name, right?
It was it's an actress. Like it was like I had to look it up too because I was like, what? And then it's just another actor,
Right.
and I was like, that's such a random poll that they were
Wow,
like.
I had no idea. I thought it was just because they were in the Delta.
Well, that's
I mean-
the joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so where the fun doesn't stop at only blank bucks a pop. How much does it cost to go to Happy World Land?
Bing, 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 bing.
Bing.
$80. Yep, Mike literally sang it earlier. I was like, some of these questions we're gonna cover because
I love these games when, like, you and I have both done it, where, like, it'll be, like, half ruined by the time we get to the game slot.
Yeah. Yep. Ooh. Yep. Okay. What does the sign outside the swamp say as oh gosh, my computer autocorrected Babs into Babe, and that's disturbing. Babs and Buster that they're running away from all the carnivores into. So what does the swamp sign say?
Boy, oh boy. They're running away from, and they end up on the Delta
after
Burg?
the
Delta
after
Burg.
the Delta Burg, when they're running away from the Delta Burg, they run into a swamp where they are then rescued by the Deliverance possum.
Bing?
Bing.
I must have just missed it because I was making food or something.
Once again, some of these were there for like 3 frames. Long hot dogs is Allie. Mike is caution gators. It is keep out swamp of running gags.
Amazing.
Which then they do bring a lot of jokes back with Babs and Buster for the next
Right.
part. All right,
And
how many?
they like tie in a Plucky and Hampton plot line to Babs and
With-
Buster just
with-
because they're like,
And-
oh,
and
we
the
gotta do
box.
something
Yeah,
here. Oh,
the
yeah,
box
right.
is there. They go to the mall. One of my favorite lines. They go to the mall, and Buster says, "Well, that was pointless." And then Babs points to Jason, the Friday the 13th killer who's chasing him, and says, "Oh yeah, and he isn't." Okay, 2 more questions.
Okay.
According to Plucky, how many tongue jokes does he make? He says it after he mows his tongue, which Mike talked about earlier. But was Mike right in what he said earlier? Who knows?
Bing.
Bing.
You're both wrong. Mike was wrong earlier. He says, after that, he walks away and says, tongue joke number 10.
Oh, really?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny.
Lastly, what's
Okay.
my favorite joke in this movie and maybe one of my favorite jokes of all time?
Hmm.
Bing.
Shit, I already forget what I asked earlier in this episode.
I got you.
Mike's trying to cheat.
Delta Burg.
Rowan and Miller.
I don't have it, but okay,
These little
Bing.
jokes. Bang, show him. Yeah, Allie's got bigamy.
Oh, right.
I would have also accepted the plot hole joke because that one is also very funny to me. And because Allie got my favorite joke, right now the score is 9-6. But I'm gonna say since Allie remembered my favorite joke, it's gonna be she gets 4 points for that. So it's gonna be 10-9, and Allie wins the quiz.
Yay! I love school.
The end. That's the end of my literal just a quiz game that I made.
That was really fun.
I'm glad you. Yeah, some of these were literally like frames long worth background gags, and I was like, "There's some of these are just no way they're gonna know."
I love that they watched the slideshow of their vacation. By the way,
Immediately after.
one of the things that we maybe didn't mention, Plucky the entire time is just in misery because all he wants is to get to Happy World Land and ride as many rides as he can until he barfs twice. And they get there, they ride the monorail, and then they get out and they go home. And I make that joke, I feel like anytime we go to somewhere where there's like lots to do, but we do the like first thing first, you know, like I feel like I made that joke when we went to Disney World and rode the monorail because by then we had seen that videotape a number of times.
It's a good joke.
There's so many good bits with like Hammy's family. One of my some that we would do and I think still do if we're sometimes, which we're not on road trips much as a family anymore. But the whole like, do you want to play spot the car? And it's like, oh yeah, spot the red car. No, any car. And just doing the there's a car, there's a car, there's a car, there's a
Definitely
car.
have done that too.
There's so many good jokes in this movie. It's a very funny movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's not very Star Wars, I don't think.
No.
However, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say some of my favorite gags that we didn't even get to are all the rides at Happy World Land that they
Yes.
watch. There is one that is just a hand, and it just pivots 180 degrees and slaps everybody down.
Yeah, they're
So
all very like Wile E. Coyote style rides. Like one of
There
them
was-
is like What's the one that's like something crashy? There's
Okay, well,
Happy Go Pukey.
You're in luck because that was maybe gonna be one of the questions. And I wrote them
okay.
all down. So the first one, the tram that takes them around is called the Tooth Fairy. And
Right.
It's the F-E-R-Y. Then there's Happy Go Pukey. Then there's Happy Feet, which is just like feet running.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the Gargle, which is
The
where
Gargle.
Centrifuge.
I'm getting to it, Allie. Then there's
I have
the
another
Happy.
couple in my head too.
There's the Happy Crasher, which is
That's
just the one
it.
that just
It
runs
just
into things.
explodes.
The Happy Centrifuge, which spins you around so much you become goo.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the one that Allie was just talking about. It's called Slap Happy. And
Yeah.
the subtitle of it says harmless fun. And you watch them immediately just get slammed into the ground. And then you got my two favorites, the
Yeah.
Stairway to Heaven and the Bullet Train to Heck.
I love that one. There's a heck reference in Rocko's Modern Life at one point as well, and they go to hell, conceivably, and the devil is standing right there, and he goes, "Hi there, I'm Stan. Welcome to heck."
Can't say hell.
Yeah, or
Can't say hell.
Satan, perhaps.
Yeah, there's so many good gags. I took so many notes just writing down funny things.
The
and then
tunnel
there's,
that's 7 miles long and they hold their breath. That's funny.
there's actually one more ride, technically, because the mine ride that they go on at the end is called
right.
the Happy World Mine Bender.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other like stray threads, like thinking of Rat Race, of like the killer that shows up in like the third act. Like
We
other-
haven't
other-
even addressed the killer.
Yeah. Well, of course, there's also well, the shack for the fireworks. Isn't that convenient?
So just to read some of my stray notes.
Yeah, I want to hear them.
This no smoking cigarettes joke, which
Yeah,
is
that's
great.
funny.
And
Yay!
then Yeah, the cigarette has to leave. The rated F for not suitable for foul mouth, which is funny. Then I wrote, there's a lot of ... boobs in this. And then after that, it said it took them 3 months to drive to Happy World Land. If we
Right.
if we are to believe that these things are happening concurrently,
Right.
then like it is, I think, September when they get to Happy
By
World
the end
Land.
of yeah, exactly.
But then they make it back somehow
that
in
day.
time. Yeah. What else do I have?
Another favorite joke of mine. I think that foul mouth going to the movies segment might be like my favorite part besides Elmira at the zoo. And he starts screaming right as the lights start going down. Lights are dimming! Lights are dimming!
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lights
Because
are dimming.
today I was like, I never knew what he was saying, and I still cannot figure out what he's saying. I was like, is that another language? What
Yeah.
is-
No, lights are dimming. And he just screams it. And I think about that every time I go to a movie theater.
Lights are dimming.
The only thing I ever think about when I go to a movie is, did I go to the right movie theater so that I can see that video that plays beforehand that's like, oh yeah, this movie's great. I hear the alien looks just like pepperoni pizza,
I hate that
hot
thing.
dog.
Boneless hot dogs. Yeah, I think that's kind of most of my
Lights
strain.
are
I think we
dimming.
covered most of my notes.
I love that how very girl. I think she's funny.
A trend, how very.
Um,
Also, Fifi the skunk, when she's crying, she says le boo,
Le
le boo,
boo.
le boo hoo, and like le big sob, and I'm like, that's some good French humor.
I love
Really big
I love how they
sob.
characterized all the like talk show hosts. I thought those were funny from like the ones I like understood the reference. Like Letterman was funny because
Yeah.
he talked sort of like this, like just kind of
We're having
boring.
some fun
Yeah.
now.
Gosh, what are some other? Okay, so I actually do have one other Star
Should we
Wars
just-
thing.
Wait, real quick, do you guys want to just like quote the whole movie?
Yeah. Okay.
And-
Let's start
yeah.
from the beginning.
Just like for like it's only an hour and a half.
We're
Waiting for the
clock.
So we talked about Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island and how this movie might be the only movie to rival it. And the only way that Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island is better is that it's shorter, because Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island is only is like 76 minutes, and this movie is like a solid, I think, 85 or
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah. That sounds
So-
about right.
Yeah, just
the-
under 90.
That's the only way that Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island is better, because this movie is way funnier than Scooby-Doo
Oh,
and Zombie
totally.
Island.
However, it also made me want to watch Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island because there's all that like southern riverboat like swamp stuff going on. I did have one other Star Wars thing that came up as we were talking. the sort of segmented plots that are happening, like while you said the plot doesn't really serve anything other than just like a vehicle for jokes, I would say that they are at least a discernible storyline, each separate plot, and that's very Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace, and at least maybe a couple of the other prequels where like there are like multiple plot lines to follow.
It's like everybody has their own little quest.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's like universally a Star Wars characteristic. And then the other note I have, which is not pro or con Star Wars, but it is possibly going to weigh into when you, the listener, are hearing this episode, when Plucky breaks out the roadmap and says, here's Happy World Land, here's where we are, and if we keep going at the current rate we're driving, we will arrive there on April 6th, 2021. And I was like, oh my God, that hasn't happened yet. Do we record this episode and then hold it for like a year and then release it on April 6th, 2021?
I think
when they get to Happy World Land.
Yeah. I think we just do it again then. Any more thoughts about Star Wars? I mostly just love this movie and think it's great, and I hope that all the millennials listening know what it is so that they will experience this nostalgia with us.
Yeah, other than the...
Something that makes it not Star Wars is that I've seen it a lot of times.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting lens to use. We haven't really used that one before.
How many times has Allie seen something?
Yeah.
Like, rewatchability. I have watched all the Star Wars movies, obviously, but there's some that I've only seen once or twice.
I'm trying to think if... I think as a whole, I've seen more Star Wars movies because there are more of them. I'm trying to think of... I've probably watched, like, the original trilogy as many times as I watched this movie. Because we would watch it, like, every summer once or twice. But that wasn't until we were, like, maybe 8. Like, when I was, like, 8-ish. So, I don't know. Because they are comparable for me in amount of times I have rewatched them.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the same with me, too.
We're just big old fans... there was another just random thing about this movie is that one time for Christmas I think it was the same year I got her the DVD of this. I also found, amazingly on Etsy, I found like an Elmira mason jar that was like had a cat paw on it and had like one of her quotes on it, and it was the best, like, most niche find in the world because there was like no Tiny Toons stuff anywhere. Like, there was no legitimate merch of Tiny Toons anywhere, but then this one Etsy store had this one mason jar, and I was like, this is the perfect gift. I found it. So head over to my Etsy, because it was actually me the whole time.
We had the Tiny Toons basketball Sega game.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was all sorts of sports. There was, like, track running and basketball and, like, soccer maybe?
Bowling?
And football. Yeah, bowling, right. I remember being really good at bowling for whatever reason, because I'm sure there was just, like, a pattern you could do. But it was, like, you know, a typical sports game at that day and age, so, like, the 90s. But where it wasn't, like, say, NBA Live or whatever those games were called, is that... like, shit would get in your way. Like, you might be about to score a basket, and then, like, Dizzy would come in from the crowd and, like, push you down.
a real precursor to Space Jam.
Yeah.
Or I guess maybe same cursor. I don't know when it came out. A cursor, not a precursor.
It was a cursor.
It was a cursor. Do you guys? I think we should maybe try to rate. Do you have any ideas about what our unit of measure will be?
Oh,
I think it's going to be kind of a low score on my end.
My unit of measurement will be pajamas.
Mine was going to be kitties, so that's pretty good.
Wow.
But I'm going to change it. I know there's just too many funny jokes. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be amount of times Plucky's tongue gets destroyed. Specifically, how it gets destroyed, not how many times, not how many jokes there are.
Yeah, right.
Yours could be daggum snacks.
Oh man, that's a funny joke too, where he says like goobers or raisinets.
Goobers or raisinets?
Ain't that the eternal question?
I guess I'll never find the eternal answer. That guy is hilarious for just that amount of time.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
he were in that movie more, I'd be like, Jesus. But he is so funny for the like 90 seconds of screen time
love
he
that
has.
his
Yeah, I'll
name
do
is-
dadgum snacks.
I love that his name is Foulmouth too, and that he just says "dad gum" a lot. Like that's the way he curses. Is that he's a kid's cartoon. He can't actually curse.
Dadgum snacks.
Well, I'm gonna give it 2 out of 10 times that Plucky's tongue is destroyed.
So which ones? Which times?
The time when it literally disintegrates after he wrings it out, and the time that it grows. I'm going to say that time, and the time when he opens his mouth and it's only sand, because I'm going to count that as a time when it's destroyed, because it's not there.
I think that sounds reasonable.
But you're going to give it a 10.
No, but it is. I feel like 2 is lowballing it, but I guess I have no rationale. I think it's just that I like it so much, and I like Star Wars so much, so that that's sort of like how Allie hasn't seen it so much, so therefore it's not very Star Wars. That's like a very subjective, and we are nothing if not objective on this show.
I was going to give it a 3, but then at last second I decided a 2. So really, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I'm struggling. Other than a couple little references and the fact that Kathleen Kennedy produced it, I'm struggling with giving it anything higher. So I will give it both Raisinets and Goobers. I will also give it a 2 dadgum snacks.
Allie?
I am gonna lean into your guys' judgment and give it a 2. 2 pajamas.
Well, there you have it.
Looking good, baby.
There you have it, everyone. Tiny Toons, how I spent my vacation, not summer vacation, is a 2. Well, we should probably wrap up. It's about time for Tubby bye-bye. So, do you want us on the internet? Because if you do, you can find us at How Star Wars Is It on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at josiah.biz, which I recently changed my stuff to because I thought it was funny, and Mike suggested it, and it was a good idea.
That's right.
Or you can go to my website at josiahrobinson.biz. I have an audiobook that I recorded that I think should be out now, maybe? It's called The Code. If your AI loses its mind, can it take meds? Go look it up. If it's out, buy it. It'll be great. Mike.
You gotta get the code.
Gotta get the code.
I am on Twitter and Instagram. Mike Gospel on Twitter. Instagram is wordgospel09. I'm actually right now, as of recording this, so it may be out on Instagram shortly as of you listening to this. I don't know. One of the toy guys that I follow on Instagram, Slug Toys, is curating a just sort of online show of bootleg toys done to the same theme, and the theme is IKEA, and I'm in the middle of making my IKEA thing as we speak. So I'll post about that when it comes out. I also I mentioned this earlier, and again, I don't know when they'll drop, but I just this week was a guest on 2 other things. I suppose podcast is the right term, although they also did it as recordings of the Zoom video. So it's sort of like a video podcast, I guess. They're both through Red Curb Comedy, which is redcurbcomedy.com. It's an improv comedy theater in Indianapolis that some friends of mine that I used to do improv with when I lived in Indianapolis are doing. They're launching a Patreon. And they're just doing a whole mess of different shows. And I was on both Story Rhymes or Story Time and Rhymes. I'm not sure the title has been decided on yet. And I was also on Impersonation, which is a game show style podcast that I am so mad I didn't come up with first. It is the funniest idea. A married couple thinks that they can do impressions but knows that they actually really can't do impressions, and so they do impressions and the contestants have to guess who they think they're doing. It was a blast. Go check that out, redcurbcomedy.com. You can email us at agoodpodcast@gmail.com. You can also get our t-shirts or in the form of stickers or mugs or whatever else, because TeePublic lets you do that, which is you'd have to look at the link like in our Instagram or our Twitter, I think, because you can't go on TeePublic and search How Star Wars Is It and find anything, because we are
Yes. But we have links for that. Allie, do you want to say anything? Because we just talked a lot.
Yeah, all of my projects are currently on hiatus with the quarantine. And so, is it Code?
It's called The Code.
The Code, by The Code. And dang, watch Survivor. It's such a good
guys,
show.
If you have Amazon,
I love that you're both watching
seasons
Survivor.
1, 3, and like 11 through 28 are available free, like commercial free, and then I think Hulu has all the rest, right?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Survivor, so I can't recommend it enough. It's been on for 20 years.
They must
seasons,
be doing
a lot to
something
watch.
right, you know?
If anyone knows Jeff Probst and
my
can
God.
connect us, please reach out.
Anyway, it's about time for Tubby Bye-Bye. Oh, man. All right, well, like we always say...
We love you!
And may the fourth be with you. Allie just said we love you.
I love you all. It's true.
She doesn't want the fourth to be with you. Bye.
She doesn't want the fourth to be with you.
She hates the fourth.
You don't believe in the fourth, do you?